Welcome to the Arithmetic Zone and welcome back to Introduction to Web Design. Today we're going to make a website almost entirely out of objects. And as you can see, I made a new folder called Movies and I already set it up with an HTML and JavaScript file. And I also have some images that I plan to use. So we're going to go to our HTML file, exclamation mark, press tab to set it up. You want to link our HTML and JavaScript together, so script source equals script.js and then defer. We're going to save that, and then inside our body we're going to create a div. We're going to call an ID of main, and that's all we're going to do for today. So let me just go live. So obviously there's nothing here. We're going to set it up all with objects. We're not going to touch our HTML file at all. We're going to use solely script.js. We're not going to use this one. That's what I did in the last video. So I'm not sure if you can see these images. Alright, but as you can see, I got a whole bunch of movie pictures. I made sure most, if not all, were JPEG files. Only the canny one, only canny Mr. Incredible is a PNG, but we can work around that. So we're gonna basically make a website on these movies, and we're gonna use objects to make this process a lot easier. So remember, I made that div element in the HTML file. Let's retrieve it in our JavaScript file using document.getElementById, and we give it the ID of main. So we're going to be appending all of our objects, all the information from our objects into that div. So essentially we're going to make an object of each movie we have right here. We're going to see the point of the canny picture in a minute. So we're going to use objects to basically put in information for all these movies. So the first one is The Batman, which came out last year in 2022. So let's say let Batman equals, and then squiggly brackets. And again, I covered all the information about objects in the last video, part 6 of basic JavaScript, so check that out if you haven't already. Anyway, name, so the whole name would be The Batman, emphasis on the, comma, the year it came out was 2022. Genre, I just realized these are all superhero movies, so I don't know, let's give it some other genres instead of superhero. Let's say gothic / crime, comma. Now we're gonna have the image. Now we're gonna reference these images and we're gonna reference the file extension later. So let's just give it the name of what the image file is without the file extension, which is just Batman. So Batman. And then we're going to give it a rating. We're going to rate all these movies, my opinion. Feel free to make fun of me if you disagree. I thought The Batman was pretty good, but it was definitely way too long, and you know, I feel like especially at the end it kind of dragged on for too long. I'll say 8 and these ratings are out of 10, which I'll specify later. And then we're going to give all these objects a function. So we're going to call the function name special. Set it up this way. And then for this one, I think all we're going to do is make the background a different color. I actually forgot how to write it for a second. I had a little brain fart. But you write it like that. Document.body.style.background color. Let's say gray. Alright, so that's the first object for the Batman done. Next object is going to be the Incredibles. So let Incredibles. And we're going to make a whole new object for this with the new properties. Well, actually the same properties, but they're going to have different values because it's a different movie. So The Incredibles. This movie came out in 2004, almost 20 years old, which I can't believe. Genre, again, it's a superhero movie, but this one's obviously more family orientated. though I would disagree. So image, the file name is just called incredibles.jpg. I'm going to reference the name only and the file extension later. Rating, low-key Incredibles is one of my favorite movies of all time, so I'll give it a 10. And for the function, now this is where that canny image comes into play. Instead of changing the background color, we're gonna add in, that canny Incredible picture every time you click on a button, which I'm gonna add later. So to do that, we're gonna make a new HTML element, a new img tag. So document.create element img, and then when we create new image elements, inside of the HTML tag, usually there's a source, and then you put the image file name in there. So to reference that, we're going to say new image.source, and that source is going to be, we got to reference the file name images / and canny.png. So this is the only one that's not a JPEG file, but because it's not being used with the rest, it doesn't really matter for our case. So yeah, I put in the .png, and I guess I should also return our new image for use later so we can append it. So that's the Incredibles done. Finally, we have Morbius. So let Morbius equals name. Name is just Morbius. This one came out last year, 2022. Genre. Well, I must say it is quite humorous. And then as for the rating, I don't know about you, but 1,000 out of 10. Everyone loved this movie. We totally didn't make fun of it. No, we all loved the movie. So 1,000 out of 10 is going to be our rating. Oh, I forgot the image. I knew I forgot something. Image is just Morbius.jpg, comma, and then for our special function, we're gonna make another element, but instead of a new image, we're gonna put in new text. So document.create element, we're gonna make it an h2, and we're gonna make new text. We're gonna make the inner HTML equal the old classic, it's Morbin time. And then we're going to return this new element that we just made. So we just made objects on each of the 3 movies that I have in mind. And you can put all these objects in a list. So let movie array equal square brackets, and then put each of the objects we made. So Batman, Incredibles, and Morbius. Now after that, we want to, append it all into Main Div. But we can't just append these objects. It's not going to really show anything. No, using the information in these objects, we're going to append it to Main Div in a certain manner so that, we can display it. So for let I equals 0, I is less than movie r dot length, which is 3, is an I++. And in this for loop, we're going to reference each object using the index I, and we're going to append all this information. So to get started, we're definitely going to need a div for each of these objects. So let's make a new div using the create element command. And for the title, we're going to have it in h1. So let h1 equal document.create element h1. And the inner HTML of this h1 is going to be movie array bracket I. So this refers to a specific element within this movie array, which is an object. So let's say it refers to Batman. If I is 0, then we're going to use dot notation to refer to the name, the Batman. So now H1 has the name of each movie every time it iterates. For the year, let new year equal document.createElement, and let's just make this a paragraph tag. So new year dot inner HTML, and we're gonna say released and then the year. So movie array I dot year. Next, we're gonna have the genre, which is basically the same thing as before. We're gonna create a p element, give it a different name. So I'm gonna call it new gen, and change that to genre, and then change this to genre. So yeah, same thing as before. Now the new image is a little different. Document.createElement img new img that not inner HTML. We're gonna say source. Now I want to reference the folder name, so images / and then the file name. So we're gonna use plus, then movie array I dot, did I call it image, or I call it img, and then we're going to say the file extension, which are all JPEGs. So the image property in each of these objects should correspond with the name of the files in the images folder. If they don't, we can fix it later. So we got all that out of the way. Now we have the rating. So let new rt equal document.createElement p. So this is like the same thing as the other ones. New rt dot inner HTML equals rating, and then plus the object, so movie array I dot, called it rating or rate, let me see, I called it rate, and then plus out of 10. And yeah, I know Morbius is 1,000, which is, you know, can't go into 10, but who cares. So now we're gonna have the function, and again, I said I want the function to be activated with the button. So we're gonna say let new special, to refer to the special function, document.createElement, and we're gonna create a button. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna give, we're gonna give it some visible text, obviously. So new special dot inner HTML, so click me, that's what's going to be displayed. Now obviously we have to give this button some functionality, but first let's append all these new elements we created into the new div. So new div dot append, and then we're going to put in everything in that order: h1, new year, new gen, new image, new rate, and then new special. So the order does correspond with the order they are displayed on the web page. Now that we appended all that, we're going to give our button new special some functionality. So new special dot on click equals function parentheses, then brackets, and then we're going to call the function, which is called special. So object name movie array I dot special parentheses. So, and some of these return like some new divs, specifically Incredibles and Morbius. So those correspond with index numbers 1 and 2 in our list. So essentially, if I is not equal to 0, we're going to have some additional functionality. New div dot append, we're going to append what the movie array returns. So this is how it's going to look. Dot special with the parentheses because it is a function, and this only happens if its indexes I and 2, which are the ones that actually return the new element. So after everything is done, after each iteration in our for loop, we're gonna append our new div into the main div. So main div dot append new div. So essentially we're adding all the information from our objects into new div, and then after everything is done, we're gonna add new div into main div. So there's gonna be 3 new divs when everything is done. So let me just close this. That really did not need to be there for the whole lesson. I apologize. But now we gotta test out everything. Now I haven't gone back to the website in a long time. Let's see if it all works. Alright. Looks like it does its job. Now the only issue is all these images are pretty big. So where it says new image right here, I'm also gonna adjust the width of the image. Let's say 100 pixels. That should do the trick. Alright. That's a little too small. 300. That's good. Alright, so everything is listed. These do say undefined out of 10 instead of, but this one works as such 1000 out of 10. So we're gonna have to see what went wrong there. It looks like I called Morbius's property rate while all the others are called rating. So I'm gonna change it to rate because that's what I referred it to. So that's what happens if you refer to a property that doesn't exist. You just get an undefined value if you try to access its value. So now we got the correct numbers: 8 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 1000 out of 10. Alright, now let's see if the click me works. Alright, changes it to gray. That's what I wanted it to do. Incredible is it should add the canny image. Alright, it adds it. If I keep on clicking it, it's going to keep on adding it. So we know that works. And then as for Morbius, if I were to click on it, its Morbid time pops up. If I keep on clicking on it, it's gonna pop up as many times as I want. So we managed to make this cool interactive list website using just objects. Remember, our HTML file just looks like this. That's all we did. We made this website using almost entirely JavaScript, and that's a beautiful thing. So that's going to do it for this video. I'm not sure exactly what we're going to do in the next lesson, but I do plan on eventually making a lesson where we're going to take this concept of making objects of real life things, and we're going to add them onto our websites using for loops like this. So see you then.